The sun was just beginning to set over the quiet town of Maple Ridge, casting a warm golden glow across the neighborhood. Families were settling in for dinner, porch lights were flickering on, and the soft sounds of birds echoed across the still air. But at 213 Willow Creek Lane, a sense of unease was growing. Emily Turner, 8 months pregnant and newly moved into the neighborhood with her husband Jack, sat on the porch, gently rubbing her belly. Her move had been sudden. A job opportunity for Jack had brought them here, and though the neighborhood seemed peaceful, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She wasn't alone on the porch. Just beyond the fence, pacing and barking relentlessly, was a large German shepherd. The dog had been there every day for the past week, same time, same spot. He would growl low and bark loudly every time Emily came outside. His eyes, sharp and alert, locked onto her every movement. It was as if he was warning her, or worse, targeting her. At first, she assumed the dog was territorial. But when she asked the neighbors, no one seemed to know where the dog came from. "That dog just showed up one day," said Mrs. Langley from next door. "We thought he was a stray, but he's not dangerous, not to us, anyway." But to Emily, the dog's behavior was growing more intense. Each day, his barking became louder. He scratched at the fence, lunged at it, and even tried to dig beneath it. It wasn't random aggression. It felt intentional. Jack dismissed it. "He's just a stray, Em. Probably smells something weird. Dogs are weird like that." But Emily couldn't let it go. The way the dog stared at her belly, not her face, unsettled her deeply. One night, she woke up gasping. A vivid nightmare shook her to her core. In the dream, she was walking through the woods, her baby gone from her arms, and the only sound echoing through the trees was the dog's bark, louder, more desperate. She could still hear it as she sat in bed, drenched in sweat. The next morning, as Emily stepped onto the porch to get fresh air, the dog returned, but this time, he was frantic. He was no longer pacing. He was barking nonstop, pawing the fence as if trying to break through it. He howled, whined, growled, and for the first time, she saw fear in his eyes. Not anger. Fear. The moment Emily put her hand on her belly, she felt something strange. A sudden, sharp pain shot through her abdomen. Her breath caught in her throat. The pain came again, more intense. The dog barked louder. Emily stumbled inside, calling for Jack. But he was already gone to work. Alone, she sat on the couch, the pain subsiding but leaving a gnawing sense of dread in its place. Her instincts were screaming at her now. And outside, the German shepherd never left. 2 hours later, she called animal control, hoping they would come and take the dog away. Maybe then the anxiety would stop. But as she hung up the phone, she felt a strange pull. As if deep down, she had just made a terrible mistake. And across the street, hidden in the shadows of the trees, a figure watched the house carefully, waiting. Emily didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, her arms wrapped around her belly, listening. Not to the wind. Not to the creaking pipes of an unfamiliar house. But to the soft growl outside the window, steady, low, like a warning hum from a machine on the verge of breaking. The German shepherd was still there. She could see his silhouette through the curtains, pacing just beyond the fence, occasionally letting out a desperate bark that cut through the silence of the night. She wanted to believe it was all in her head, hormones, stress, the fear of being in a new place so late in her pregnancy. But something about the dog's behavior had crossed a line. This wasn't a wild animal acting out. This was a cry for attention. For urgency. For help. The next morning, she woke up to flashing lights. Animal control had arrived. Two men in uniform stood by a large van, holding long poles and a looped leash. Emily watched through the blinds as they tried to approach the dog. The German shepherd backed away, not in fear, but in defiance. He barked furiously, not at them, but toward the house. His eyes never left her window. "He's protecting something," one of the officers muttered to the other. Emily rushed outside in her robe. "Wait! Don't hurt him. He hasn't bitten anyone." "He's a danger, ma'am," the taller officer replied. "You reported him. We're just doing our job." "But he's not trying to hurt anyone," she said. He keeps barking at me. Not like he wants to attack me, but like he's trying to tell me something." The officer looked at her belly, then back at the dog. "Maybe he smells the baby. You never know with strays." They managed to get a leash around the dog's neck, but he thrashed violently, crying out with a long, desperate howl that echoed down the entire street. It sounded less like resistance and more like heartbreak. Emily stood frozen as they loaded the dog into the van. She felt a sudden weight press against her chest, guilt, confusion, and something else. An invisible thread had been cut. And she wasn't sure if that thread had been holding her back or keeping her safe. That night, the house was eerily quiet. Too quiet. Emily sat on the couch scrolling through dog shelters, trying to find where they might have taken him. She didn't know why she cared so much, but something about that dog's eyes haunted her. Then the lights flickered. The wind picked up outside, howling against the windows. Emily stood up, pressing her hand against the glass. Something moved at the edge of the woods across the street. A shadow too tall for an animal. Then it vanished. She locked the doors. She called Jack, but it went to voicemail. He was working late at the clinic again, too far to come home quickly. "Just get some rest," he texted earlier. "You're overthinking everything." But Emily couldn't rest. Her instincts screamed louder now. She checked the baby monitor again, even though the nursery was only a few feet away. Every light in the house was on. Suddenly, a sharp knock at the door jolted her. 3 slow knocks. Emily approached cautiously. There was no one at the front porch. Then the doorbell rang. She looked through the peephole. Still nothing. Her breath hitched as she turned to walk away, only to freeze when she heard the creak of the back porch step. Her heart thundered in her chest. She reached for her phone and called 911. 911, what's your emergency? I think someone's outside my house. I'm pregnant, I'm alone, please. Stay calm, ma'am. Police are on the way. Stay inside, stay on the line. Emily backed into the nursery, locked the door, and sat on the floor, her back against the wall. She couldn't stop shaking. Then, from the baby monitor speaker, a growl. Not from the dog. Not anymore. It was deeper. And closer. A shuffling sound. Emily stared at the monitor screen. Static flickered. Then an image. A figure, just outside the nursery window. Standing still. Watching. And in that moment, she knew with terrifying clarity the dog had never been trying to scare her. He had been trying to protect her. And now, he was gone. Emily's hands trembled as she gripped her phone, the 911 dispatcher still on the line. Ma'am, the officers are 5 minutes away. Stay in that room. Do not open the door for anyone. The figure at the window didn't move. It was a man, tall and broad-shouldered, his features obscured by a hood and the reflection from the porch light. But she could feel his eyes on her. Watching. Measuring. Then he moved. Not away, but toward the back door. Emily's breath hitched. "I think he's trying to break in," she whispered. A loud bang came from downstairs. Then another. The back door. "Ma'am, help is almost there." She didn't hear the rest. She dropped the phone as adrenaline surged through her. Her hand instinctively went to her belly. Another crash. The door had been forced open. Heavy boots echoed through the kitchen. Emily could hear drawers opening. Searching. The man wasn't here to steal. He was here for her. Suddenly, the nursery door knob jiggled. Emily backed farther into the corner, eyes locked on the door. Then the sound stopped. A pause. Silence. The baby monitor crackled again. Then a whisper. Low, raspy, incomprehensible. Not through the walls. Through the monitor itself. Like he was in the other room, speaking into the camera. Emily's mind raced. What did he want? Why her? Why now? Then she remembered the dog's eyes. That desperate, pleading bark night after night. It wasn't fear. It wasn't hunger. It was a warning. Suddenly, sirens. Blue and red lights flashed through the nursery window. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. Police! Come out with your hands up. The door to the nursery burst open, not from the intruder, but from a uniformed officer. Emily sobbed as he knelt beside her. "You're safe now, ma'am." "He's gone." "Gone," she whispered. "Out the back window. Left a mess behind, but we'll find him." They escorted her out of the house, wrapping her in a blanket. Paramedics checked her vitals. She clutched her belly as a warm tear slid down her cheek. "I tried to tell them," she muttered. The dog. He knew something. The officer looked at her, brow furrowed. "What dog?" "The German Shepherd. The one they picked up yesterday." The officer blinked. "No dog was picked up from this address yesterday." "What?" "I just checked the dispatch records. Animal control didn't respond to your neighborhood yesterday." "Are you sure?" Emily's skin went cold. She'd watched them take the dog away. She remembered the van. The uniforms. But had anyone else seen them? Was it possible? She went online and pulled up the nearest animal shelter. Called the number. "Hi, I'm looking for a dog. A German Shepherd. Picked up near Maple Street yesterday." A pause. "I'm sorry," the receptionist said. "No dogs were brought in from that area yesterday. Nothing matching that description in the last week." Emily hung up. The dog hadn't been taken by animal control. So who took him? The next day, Emily refused to stay in the house. Jack came home immediately after hearing what had happened. The police dusted for prints, installed cameras, even stationed a patrol car outside their home that night. But deep down, Emily knew. Whatever had happened wasn't random. It was targeted. That night, unable to sleep, she scrolled through local news stories from the last year. She looked for break-ins, similar patterns, anything that might link to what she experienced. Then she found it. A string of unsolved incidents from nearby counties, homes with pregnant women. each one followed by break-ins. Disappearances. In one, the mother was never found. Emily's heart sank. They were all recent. They were all within a 50-mile radius. And in one blurry security cam screenshot, she swore she saw him. The man in the hoodie. Same build. Same stance. But it was what she saw behind him that truly froze her blood. A dog. A German shepherd. Standing just behind the man. Muzzled. On a leash. Eyes wild. Desperate. Emily enlarged the photo. Her breath caught. It was the same dog. Max. The discovery haunted Emily for days. Max, the loyal, desperate German shepherd, wasn't a random stray. He was somehow tied to this man. But how? And why was he barking at her? Warning her? Emily and Jack met with Detective Ruiz, the lead investigator assigned to their case. She shared the blurry photo from the news article, zoomed in on Max. He's not just any dog, she insisted. He tried to protect me. He knew something was coming. Ruiz studied the image carefully. You say you saw animal control pick him up? Emily nodded. But our records don't show any official pickup. And we contacted all local shelters, none of them received a dog matching his description. Ruiz leaned forward. What if that wasn't animal control at all? A chill ran down Emily's spine. You think they took him? Ruiz didn't respond directly, but his silence was answer enough. That afternoon, police reviewed nearby CCTV footage from homes and businesses. After hours of scrubbing through grainy clips, they found it. An unmarked white van pulling up in front of Emily's house the day after Max's nightly barking had started. 2 men. No uniforms. One had a syringe. Max had resisted. He fought. He bit one man, leaping from the porch, barking and growling like a soldier on a battlefield. But he was outnumbered. Tranquilized. Hauled into the van like a sack of trash. Emily felt sick watching the footage. They silenced him, she whispered. Because he was trying to expose them. The police ran the van's plates. Fake. But they had a partial match from an earlier robbery in the next town. And a witness. A retired K-9 handler named Greg who lived in that neighborhood and had spotted the van. When they interviewed him, something clicked. I've seen that dog before, Greg said. The one you're talking about. Max, right? Yes, Emily said, eyes lighting up. You've seen him? I trained him. Years ago. He was part of a special K-9 unit for the state police. Best tracker I ever saw. Protected dozens of officers, found missing kids, even tackled armed suspects. So what happened to him? Ruiz asked. Greg's face darkened. He went missing during a mission. No one ever found him. It was presumed he died in action. That was 4 years ago. Emily stared at him. But he's alive. He saved me. Greg nodded slowly. Then he found a purpose again. Even after all these years. The puzzle began to unravel. The man in the hoodie wasn't working alone. He was part of a trafficking ring targeting pregnant women for black market schemes. They'd struck in 5 towns before. Emily had nearly been the 6th. But they hadn't counted on Max. The loyal dog who remembered his training, his duty, even after being abandoned by the system. Days passed. The house now had alarms, cameras, and patrols. Emily still didn't feel safe, not without Max. Then, late one night, a call came. "We found him. He had been dumped. Left barely breathing in an empty lot miles away. Whoever took him tried to silence him permanently, but he survived. Barely." Jack and Emily rushed to the veterinary hospital. Max was sedated, his side wrapped in gauze, one eye swollen shut. When Emily entered the room, his tail weakly thumped. She knelt by his side, gently placing a hand on his paw. "You saved me, Max. You saved my baby." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Jack whispered, "We owe him everything." Weeks later, Max returned home with them. The department honored him as a hero. Greg even visited with old photos from Max's service days. But it was Emily who gave him a new purpose, guarding her family. One crisp evening, Emily stood on the porch with her newborn son in her arms. Max sat beside her, head raised, ears alert. The wind rustled through the trees. All was calm. But Max never let his guard down. Not anymore. He had barked to warn them. He had fought to protect them. And now, he watched over them. Forever. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments what you think about Max's bravery. Have you ever known a dog this loyal? We'd love to hear your story too.